There is only one God, and his name is death.
And there is only one thing we say to death. Not today.
Daenerys moves through the trampled fields filled with the dead and wounded around the burning town of the Lamb Men, or Lazarene. Khal Drogo's khalasar was attacking the town when Khal Drogo arrived. Daenerys remembers that Khal Drogo was among those who shared the high bench at the feast when Viserys was crowned. However, this is not Vaes Dothrak. Daenerys suspects some of the villagers probably mistook them for deliverance, but once Khal Drogo was defeated, Drogo's khalasar plundered the town just as badly. Now the captives from both the village and Drogo's khalasar are being collected for slaves. To an outsider, the Lazarene looks similar to the Dothraki, but now Daenerys can plainly see the differences. In addition, the Dothraki captives do not seem to fear slavery, while the villagers stumble about in fear and sorrow. Ser Jorah Mormont meets Daenerys at the entrance to the village. The knight brings news that Drogo has killed Khal Drogo and his son, taking only minor wounds. He also informs her that most of the rival khalasar has fled. There could still be as many as 10,000 captives. Ser Jorah has suggested they drive the slaves south to Meereen, where they will fetch a better price. More than enough gold to hire the ships they need to reach the Seven Kingdoms. As she watches the carnage around her, Daenerys can only think about the price of the Iron Throne. The scenes of rape disturb Daenerys the most. She orders Ser Jorah and her bodyguards, Jogo and Quarro, to stop the rape of a wailing girl. Ser Jorah tries to explain that this is not wise, since she is depriving the riders of their reward for shedding blood for their Khal. Jogo and Quarro point out that the Dothraki believe the girl should feel honoured, and even Daenerys' handmaid, Irri, agrees. Daenerys is not dissuaded, and commands Ser Jorah and the others to stop the rape. Ser Jorah declares that she truly is Rhaegar Targaryen's sister, and obeys. Stopping the rape requires the death of the two rapers. When asked what to do with the raped girl, Daenerys commands Doria to tend to her hurts, mainly because the blonde-haired Lysene girl does not look Dothraki. Daenerys then rides on into the settlement and begins to rescue all of the other rape victims she sees. Ser Jorah tries to explain that she cannot save them all, but Daenerys refuses to believe him. Daenerys finds Drogo with an arrow through his arm and an arak cut that has taken off one of his nipples. Drogo insists that they are only scratches and boasts that he personally slew not only Khal Drogo but also his son Fogo, who was the Khal after Drogo. Daenerys praises her husband. Then a warrior named Maego, who rides with the Cass of Code Jacko, rides up with angry words about Daenerys' actions. After listening to both sides, Drogo explains to Daenerys that rape is a part of the Dothraki way of war. Daenerys insists that the Lazarene women should be made wives and given a place in the khalasar. A blood rider named Kotho asks haughtily if a horse breeds with sheep, but Daenerys replies that a dragon feeds on both horse and sheep. Drogo laughs at this and proclaims that his son inside her has made Daenerys fierce. The Khal goes on to tell Maego to find another lamb to mount, as these belong to the Khaleesi. When Drogo reaches out to Daenerys, he winces, and Daenerys cries for the healers. She is told that Drogo sent the healers away to tend the more grievously wounded. Mirri Maz Duur, a Lazarene woman Daenerys rescued, speaks up, saying she can help. Aggo is about to cut her throat when Daenerys demands that the woman who wears the remains of fine clothing be allowed to speak. Mirri Maz Duur explains that she is a healer and God's wife. Drogo's blood riders mistrust her, naming her a healer of sheep and a magi. Daenerys asks Mirri Maz Duur how she learned to become a healer, and the God's wife states that she has learned from many, including a maester named Marwyn. Talk of a maester immediately interests Ser Jorah, and he asks for details. Ser Jorah then tells Daenerys that maesters know much of healing. Mirri Maz Duur explains that the Great Shepherd sent her to the earth to heal all his lambs. Drogo finally speaks up and permits the God's wife to heal him. Mirri Maz Duur suggests that the healing magic will be stronger inside her temple. Drogo rises to walk and falters, but he refuses Haggo's offer to help. Seeing that her husband is weak, Daenerys moves up to help him, telling him that since she is not a man, she can help. Mirri Maz Duur brings Drogo into the remains of her temple and says it is best if the rest leave, but Daenerys and the Blood Riders refuse. Daenerys assures everyone that Mirri Maz Duur will do no harm, feeling she can trust a woman she saved from rape. The god's wife says that if they insist on remaining, they can help hold Drogo down. She pulls out the arrow, pours boiling wine on the wound, and then sews the skin back in place. Next, she applies a plaster of leaves to the chest wound and instructs Drogo not to drink wine or milk of the poppy, or to remove the poultice for 10 days. When told he will have a great scar, Drogo declares, "I sing of my scars." Daenerys asks the godwife about an earlier comment about birthing songs and learns she is also a midwife. Therefore she asks Mirri Maz Duur to attend her when she gives birth. Drogo tells her, "You do not ask a slave, you tell her." Then Drogo commands that the khalasar must ride and leaves. Kotho lingers long enough to remind the god's wife, "As the khal fares, so shall you."
I demand a trial by combat.